Hey, zippity doo dah, it's Tuesday, and that means I'm welcoming you to Heart and Mind. I'm Dr. Dina McMillan, and this is the show. We are unlike any other show out there. There are a lot of great shows that I actually watch as well, talking about the political situation, some of them touching on cultural issues. We touch on things on how they impact you, how they impact your life, how you can improve your life. This show is all about you, so I welcome you aboard. Now, I have promised you no more boring Tuesdays. You're going to find out things here you will not find anywhere else. I believe in the old keep it simple, stupid philosophy. So everything is about getting things to you that you can use right away. If you put some of this stuff in action, it could change your life by the weekend. I promise. So 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, and I have people watching in Australia where it is 10 a.m. on Wednesday, and I have some friends watching because they're insomniacs in London, and it is 1 o'clock in the morning. So welcome wherever you happen to be. Now you can watch the show live on Daily Clout, X, Rumble, Facebook, on the Daily Clout page, and on Getter. Whether you're watching this recorded or live, welcome aboard. Now, I have to explain this because sometimes people have never been here before and they don't understand what a social psychologist is. Social psychology isn't like clinical psychology where we study how someone perceives the world, their perceptions of the world, their perceptions of themselves. It's very inwardly focused. Social psychology looks at that, but it also looks at the environment, the other people in the environment, and how the two sides impact each other. So we study how the brain works. We also look at how people learn, how we're influenced, persuaded, manipulated, coerced, indoctrinated, and brainwashed. Now, I had somebody give me a hard time about having these mad scientist pictures when I talk about being a social psychologist. Now, there are two reasons. The reason I have images on my show is because of something called the visual superiority effect. And what that means is if I give you information with a relevant image, you are significantly more likely to remember that information during heightened circumstances, when you're feeling emotional, when you're afraid, when you're sad, when you're angry, than if I just wrote it down. So I take a lot of time to actually put relevant images, but I have to say, social psychology is questionable. I love my science, but it's questionable. The fact that we experiment to see how we can convince people to change their beliefs and behavior and do it in a way where they don't realize someone external to themselves was holding the strings, it can be a little bit morally dodgy. So I want you to be aware of that. But we're on the side of the angels because everything I do is about helping you improve your relationships and improve your lives. Speaking of things that are dodgy, please get your own copy of the Pfizer papers. It contains the latest analysis of the clinical trial documents. It is so crucial, and you will support the work of this network, which is the Daily Clout Network, by going on this, by going and getting your own copy. Now, this is information that the pharmaceutical companies they went to court to try to keep this quiet for 75 years. They wanted to be able to hold this back from the public for 75 years. They were not allowed to do it, but the amount of information was vast. So Dr. Naomi Wolf, Amy Kelly, and the whole team of highly credible researchers and scientists and physicians went through it and made it possible for you to figure out what was really going on. COVID hasn't gone away. The flu vaccine hasn't gone away. Other types of vaccines haven't gone away. mRNA hasn't gone away. This is information you need to know. And because Daily Cloud has such a smart audience, I am confident that you are going to immediately go on Amazon and get your own copy. Now, getting to something a little bit different, dramatically different from talking about COVID, today we're going to talk about the rules to romantic relationship success. Now, last week we were talking about just general relationship information, knowledge, and rules of how to handle yourself and how to interact with other people to strengthen all of your relationships, from work colleagues to family to friends to acquaintances, the other parents at your kids' school, whomever we're talking about. Now we're going to talk about romantic relationship success. And this is important whether you're single and looking, even if you're single and not looking, but also any type of relationship that you're in. We're going to discuss it today. And here's a really crucial point. Please know, it doesn't matter what stage your relationship is in. A lot of people feel like if they're going to improve their lives romantically, they need to get a new partner. That's not necessarily true. As long as both of you are willing to work on it and you're consistent in how you change things, you can transform yourself and your relationships at any stage and at any age. As long as you're above the ground and not below it, the science of neuroplasticity has demonstrated we can continue to grow until we die. So don't let the fact that you've been together for a while lull you into thinking, oh, well, I guess that's just the way it is. No, you can fix it. You can make it better. I want you to think about, as we go into this, how do you want to make this your relationship better? And we're going to talk about it. Ever wonder why your brain feels foggy, even when you're eating clean and exercising? It may not be burnout, it could be parasites. Groundbreaking research from Dr. Alan MacDonald revealed a direct link between chronic parasitic infections and neurological diseases like multiple sclerosis. Parasites can cause inflammation, nerve damage, and long-term cognitive decline. More reason to do a full body cleanse at least once a year. The Wellness Company has a solution for you. Ivermectin plus menbendazole, the gold standard parasite solution, now combined in one cleanse combo, designed to eliminate harmful invaders and support your immune system naturally. Medical grade, not some trendy herbal gimmicks. Fill out a quick intake form and get a 3-month supply shipped straight to your door. Maha is officially here, and the Wellness Company is making hard-to-get medications digitally accessible so you can live your best life. Head to Daily Cloud Health and use the code DailyCloud to save $60 off plus free shipping on all orders. Cleanse your body today. So today, this is exciting. We're talking about the rules. Now, if you're old enough, well, actually, you could be any age because the latest version of this book came out in 2023. So that's only 2 years ago, not even 2 years, depending on when it was. The rules. Oh my goodness, what a phenomenon. Everybody wanted to know the rules. It was very specific about, but it was designed for people who were single trying to find and develop and build a dynamic that was in their favor in a new relationship. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about any stage. And why was it so popular? Why does this sort of thing continue to be popular? Why am I writing books on this topic as well? because the world is giving really bad romantic advice and poor examples. Not just to men, where you have the Andrew Tates who make a whole industry out of taking advantage and exploiting underage girls. But you've always had that kind of guy, but it used to be that culturally women aimed differently. But over the last, God knows how many years, probably since the 60s, all that's changed. And people are beating a path to my door to figure out, how can I do better? How can I attract somebody who's better quality? How can I have a better relationship? It's really tough out there. And that's why we're going to give Dr. Dina's new rules on romantic relationships. Now, why is this so important? Because your spouse is the most important decision you make in your life. Hear me again. You're talking to somebody who went to university for 9 years, okay? But your spouse is your most important decision, more important than your choice of career, where you decide to get higher education, or if you decide to get higher education. Almost everything in your life flows in and out of that single choice. If you have a great spouse, they will help you reach the heights and withstand the storms. Wrong spouse, you've got a limited life or a grim life, or depending on your situation, a shortened life. Now, realize, of course, the field I'm in, I see a lot of domestic violence, but I'm not even talking about your spouse actually killing you. I'm talking about chronic unhappiness, chronic lack of support. It can actually shorten your life. So I want you to think about for a second how important this is, and we're going to talk about how to make it better. If you're like me and you're getting to that age where your body just hurts all the time, then listen up. Don't reach for another painkiller until you learn about this little known turmeric hack for pain and inflammation. You've probably already heard about turmeric being used to fight inflammation and joint pain. But here's the thing, not all turmeric is created equal. Regular turmeric powder in your pantry might help a little. But a leading pain doctor from Connecticut discovered a special turmeric extract that is 200 times more powerful than what you'd find in standard turmeric. And when he shared this turmeric hack with his patients, the results were shocking. This turmeric extract attacks pain at the source, turning it off like a light switch so that pain not only goes away, but it stays away. Dr. Josh, the brains behind it all, has spent over 20 years helping hundreds of thousands of Americans finally break free from constant aches and stiffness. And his turmeric hack has been the backbone of their success. Say goodbye to expensive surgeries, pain injections, or ineffective over-the-counter medications, and say hello to pain-free living. This is incredible stuff. Once I started taking it on a regular basis, I really noticed a difference. But again, you can't just take any old turmeric. So if you want to learn more about Dr. Josh, his turmeric hack, and the exact method for how to use it in your daily routine, just go to goldenrevive.com/dailyclout. The link is right below this video in the description. Just click it and start your journey towards a pain-free, healthier life. Now, I need to say, as we go through, I've had a couple of comments, and welcome all the people, anybody that's watching this live. Whatever you're watching this on, whatever network, sign in, and you can actually send comments, questions, and I can answer them right away. And I certainly appreciate everybody that's joining us, and I appreciate about, oh gosh, this is all so complicated. I am so glad I'm single. Choosing to live alone also has its costs, especially as you age, especially if you're male. Hate to say this, but married men tend to live longer than single men. And please don't say, no, they don't. It just feels longer. It's because often your wife is the one that will notice an issue and will bug you until you do something about it. But a healthy, happy relationship makes a difference at any stage of life. We are not going to say only young people should have relationships or it's too late for me. No, I give information at all ages that'll actually help. Now, one of the big things you'll notice as you go through, because you guys are all so smart, you'll notice as we go through that one of the rules of having a healthy relationship, romantic and otherwise, and it's something we discussed last time in the general rules for a better relationship, was basically how do you handle conflict? How do you handle arguments? Handling conflict and arguments is important enough. We're going to have our own episode on that. So I didn't forget it. I purposely left it out because when I started going through and putting my rules together, I realized it was taking quite a while. There's a lot of them. But most of them are really, really simple, and I'll bet you're doing a lot of them already. But realize we are going to have our own episode talking about conflict resolution. So let's start. Romantic rule 1. Choose carefully. I want you to think for a minute. When I say choose carefully, also be careful of how you allow someone to choose you. I've had people say, well, the only reason I got into, I had that bad relationship is because this person pursued me. And I didn't really choose them, they chose me. But being passive, allowing yourself to be chosen counts too. Remember how important this is. So please choose carefully. Think back, because I know most of you are over the age of 16. Think about a time when you chose the wrong person and how much it cost you. And when we come back, we're going to never a problem without a solution. We're going to fix this. If you've seen the show before, you've heard me mention how this product has helped me. What about you? Are you ready to move easily and independently without pain or stiffness holding you back? Do you want to look in the mirror and see a plump, hydrated glow instead of more fine lines and wrinkles? Discover Native Path Collagen, made with only type 1 and type 3 collagen fibers, the two most important types that make up 90% of the collagen in your body. It's found in your cartilage, bones, skin, hair, nails, and gut. Types 1 and 3 provide maximum benefits without the need for unnecessary fillers. Native Path Collagen is a single ingredient formula with no fillers, additives, or artificial sweeteners. Plus, it's third-party tested for heavy metals, ensuring purity and safety. Completely flavorless, Native Path Collagen can be added to anything: coffee, smoothies, oatmeal, you name it. Its peptide formula makes it more bioavailable, meaning it's absorbed more easily and mixes perfectly without clumping. And the best part, Native Path offers amazing bundle deals. You can get 3 or 6 packs at a fraction of the price of other brands. With over 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, including me, 8,000 5-star reviews, and a 365-day no-risk guarantee, Native Path is a trusted choice. Plus, they offer an 800 number for any questions about usage, recipes, or ingredients, and you'll speak to a real person who's ready to help you. Join their private Facebook community to share success stories, recipes, and support each other on this journey called life. Visit getnativepath.com Daily Clout and start your transformation today. That's GETNATIVEPATH.com/DAILYCLOUT. Now, this next one, I'm going to have my friend Melinda Richards join me from Australia. She's just back from her trip to Europe. I have missed Melinda. Melinda, I've missed you. And for everyone else watching, let's really get some opinions on this. Now, this is urban speak. Do you know what a pick-me-sha is?
I do now because I've had a lot of teenage girls actually explain it to me, and then I regressed back to when I was a teenager and realized that that's probably not a bad term, because I remember a couple of pick-me's at school, and then I thought, oh, we didn't call them that back then. But yes, and they did get all the boys' attention too, I have to say. They really did. So boys, watch out. If your boy's listening.
Well, also, I would say because it was easier to find a picture of a woman doing this, and because usually when they say pick-me-sha, they mean a woman, but for guys too. One of the things that it goes with what I said at first. Keep in mind how important this choice is, how important your time, your energy, your emotions, your intimacy. Keep in mind always how important it is. And be really selective. But also, if you noticed last week, one of the main rules was about being self-reliant, because nothing lowers your attractiveness score like desperation. Remind yourself, as much as you may care for someone, you can live without anybody.
Yes, that's true.
You have to follow the rules we're talking about, even if it's tough because you're really attracted to someone. Do yourself a favor. Don't be desperate. Now, here's another rule. And I would be happy to provide someone else's material here in case you think I'm self-aggrandizing. But since I'm the only one that actually writes on this topic and teaches on this topic with such specificity, and because the book's only $10, it's the easiest way to get this information. I would say get your own copy, male or female, get your own copy of this book, because it tells you not just the definitions of the tactics used by abusers, it also shows you the tricks they use to get into your life, part of their selection process. So here's something interesting that you may not know if you're new to the show. The selection process for category 3 women, I said women, but again, we're seeing more and more of these tactics being used on men. Category 3 has the most information because it's the challenge. And I have met a lot of abusers who have admitted to me in confidential sessions that they love a challenge. They love taking somebody who thinks they're smart and savvy and independent and then turning them into a submissive partner. You need to know this stuff. So I talk about how they lure you in. I was thinking about the hairy helpfuls, which is one of the categories just this morning. The kind of person who, when you're going through something, offers to lend you something, to help you with something as a method of staying in your life so they can use their clever tactics on you. You need to know this. You need to know this. And I designed the book with imagery again, because I want you to be able to remember it. But also I designed it. It has fewer than 60 pages. I designed this book to be read in about an hour. So get your own copy of it. And Melinda, speak up anytime we come across something, because there are like 25 little rules. Speak up whenever you have some input, because I know you're so influential as an author. You've had your own talk show, And you and I chat all the time about really important issues. So,
Well, I'd love the first one that you came up with today, which was choose carefully. I really wish someone had said that to me and said to me when I was 23 years old, this is the single most important decision you're going to make in your life. I don't think I really understood the gravity of having a sort of a romantic boyfriend, and then the romance, and then the engagement, and then the marriage, and it's all just sort of happened. It was all fun. But I mean, to really understand the gravity and what you're getting yourself into, I think that would be great for all parents to sit down with their kids when they're teenagers and actually really push that point home. That is absolutely critical, because I didn't really have that support. I just kind of went with the flow, and I made a poor decision. But I was smart enough to get out of it. But it just took me a little bit too long. I probably should have done it a couple more years than I did. At the start, it was absolutely fine, but in the end, I did have a tingle in my tail, and I didn't follow my gut fully. That was another thing, and it ended up being a very, very poor decision.
well, when I teach teenagers with my Unmasking the Abuser program, one of the ways I've been able to get through to them, and I'm going to talk at the end how if you want to actually have me teach not just teenagers but adults, because in the stuff I teach you, it's not part of the wisdom that comes with age. The specific tactics and things that I share, I know because I'm a social psychologist, not because I'm a certain age or have experienced certain things. Um, but with the young people, what I do is I actually show them visually a progression of their age if they choose the wrong partner, if they choose an abusive partner. I let them
Wow.
see how small
Yeah.
their life becomes and how depressed and isolated the person becomes. And I get, I always get the same reaction. At first, they're a little bit like, oh, I have to be here. And then they start leaning forward and they start going, oh my God, because they
Yeah.
really get it. And the visual imagery helps them see. Um, so you have to, at the beginning, I would say for everybody, if we're talking about selection and being careful and being smart, be wary, because some of the worst abusers I know were the most charming at the initial stages. Pay attention to everything, not just the parts you like. We tend to get rose-colored glasses when our hormones hep up and we get attracted to somebody. It's like we ignore something that should be a major issue.
Yes.
Take
That's
your time. There is
yes.
no decent person alive who's going to mind you being careful.
Yeah.
The only
That's
person
great
who's going
advice.
to,
I
the
like
only
that one.
person,
I like that one, because you tend to, sometimes when you're having all these really big emotions early on in a relationship, you rush in and it's so much fun and it's great. And you forget to take your time. You forget to take a step back, and you ignore all those little warning signs too sometimes. And those warning signs may be deal breakers. They may not be, but they're still there that you have to have a quick look at and really know that they're there.
well, because you don't go all, you'll see, I say it in several ways with these rules. Don't go all in when you're first getting to know someone. Don't emotionally and psychologically invest yet. Realize you're going to learn something. At the very worst, you'll learn something new about yourself or other people. But that's where the lack of desperation, that's why I put it first. Here's the tough one, everybody. Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that
Uh,
is a tough one. That's a tough one.
Thank
Oof.
you, oxytocin. Now, what has happened since the 60s and 70s? People have been taught to just have sex with people. Oh my goodness, so many people end up in with relationships, they end up with children, they end up in all these situations because they got sexually involved too fast. What if this person is the absolutely wrong person for you, but the sex is great? What if, it's too risky? Again, no one will value you less for being careful. And if you're a woman, please don't think things are equal just because they say it on TV. Men are
Yes.
really concerned about that body count, okay? They don't want to be compared against a bunch of other guys. He will not respect you less. He starts moving you into a different category. You want to marry a guy? Don't be sexually available right away. And please, 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 and this feeds into everything we've been saying, don't move fast. And beware of those who try to make you move fast. Because if there's one real warning sign about a potential abuser or manipulator, is that they move really quickly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
too much of the cultural information and storytelling that comes to women makes that seem romantic.
Yes. Yeah.
And when you have so many men who, because of the prevalence, porn has, we can do a whole episode also on the cost of porn,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
But because of a combination of pornography, women being taught to be absolute witches with a B, and a disincentive for commitment that has caused a lot of men to like really pull back. Women are so tired of that. That's when a guy comes along and he's like, "Oh, our kids would be gorgeous," or, "We should go on vacation together." And they're like, "Oh, finally, I get a guy who's willing to move quick." No, it's not a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not a good sign. Take your time, make him take his time. If he tries to force you to move quickly, move on. It's a huge red flag. Also, have realistic expectations. Have you seen those social media posts where these women are like, oh, they ask people on a scale, they go out at night, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think you are? These women will be unattractive, overweight, uneducated, screechy voice that's hard to listen to, and they swear they're a 10.
Yeah,
Okay.
that actually, Dina, I just want to pick up on that point because that's a very interesting trend that's happening right now in society is all this vox popping outside of universities and also outside of nightclubs and in places, hotspots where young women go out. And that's actually quite popular. And so it happens a lot these days. And I've got to say that it's very disturbing to me when I watch these. I never watch these coming out of anything feeling as though women are heading in the right direction. In fact, if anything, I feel like particularly women in their early 20s, I'm hoping the teenagers coming through are watching these now as well and realizing how horrendous it is. But a lot of women in their early 20s, late teens are talking about particularly what they want from men too. They're very, very specific. And it's really interesting because it's all about money. It's all about what they want, what they need, what they expect. And it's obviously off the charts ridiculous. And then you look at them and then you go, well, what do you bring to the relationship? And it's so funny because none of these girls are really understanding that just because they have a vagina and that they're a woman doesn't automatically mean that they get everything that they want. They actually have to bring as a person something to the table to society, something to the table in relationships, something to the table as mothers when they're eventually mothers. And I think women through the woke narrative have been given such a get out of jail free card that they're so brainwashed into thinking, well, I'm a woman and I've been oppressed, so I can actually ask and do and behave any way I want. And you can see that on those things that you were mentioning. You can see their inflated view of their own self-importance just because they're women and they can talk down about men. It's a terrible trend, and I think it's really impacting on relationships.
Well, it is impacting on relationships. And back in the 90s, when you had there's something about Mary kind of stuff, you
Yeah.
had the opposite trend where you had these really unattractive, boring, weird guys that get these really beautiful women. Even Big Bang Theory, you look at that. You know, you get these guys that are just, and unrealistic
Yes, yes,
expectations causes
yes.
problems on either side. And I've mentioned before, so I want my audience to tell me if you want me to do it, because I haven't taken a poll to see how much of my audience is male and how much female. And men might want to know this too, but I can actually teach women how to be more attractive. My book, Fascination with the Devil, actually teaches women how to increase their appeal to men. And I don't mean as somebody they want to sleep with, I mean somebody that they get territorial about. I have,
Yes.
and I use this. I want to tell you something. Since I realized these things, there's been no age that I've reached that I have not had a lot of guys coming after me, because
Yeah.
it's not just about what he's bringing. It's me immediately thinking, what can I add to his life?
Absolutely. That's
So
exactly the point. Yeah. Yeah.
you start off like that. You talk about, you treat him with respect. You treat him as though he's valuable. You follow these rules that I'm talking about. I don't care who you are. Your appeal, I promise, will go up. And I don't just mean as somebody, you could be a sexual toilet. I mean, come on. Being somebody wanting to have sex with you is not a compliment.
Yeah.
Um, do they want to show you to their friends? Do they want to show you to their family? Do they want to show you off? That's the compliment.
Yes. Yeah.
Ah. Nettie asked, "What are one or two red flags?" We're going to talk about that at the end. I will actually mention that. That's a good question. What are one or two red flags to warn a single person about? I will talk to you about that when we get a little later, because I want, there are a lot of rules we still have to get to. Okay, pay attention to their romantic history. This is one of the reasons I give myself accolades. I am a really good ex. How many of you can say that? Are you a really good ex? I'm a good
I
ex. I don't bother people. If somebody doesn't want to be with me, even if I'm heartbroken, I am not going to do anything vindictive. I'm not going to follow you around. I'm not, none of that. Okay. I'm not going to try to turn your friends against you. I'm not going to call your office. None of that waiting to exhale stuff. But you have to look at that. How were their relationships in the past? If the relationship ended, how did they behave? What were the reasons? Pay attention. We're talking about finding a spouse here, not finding somebody to go out with for a few weeks. Remember also, honesty is the foundation. Give it and demand it. And I had to add this, don't lie even by omission. When I was young, I knew a woman who had a child. And a lot of men don't want to romantically involved with women who already have children, and which is their right. Okay. She would actually hide her daughter in the bathroom when she was doing video conference with
Wow.
the new boyfriend. Under
Wow.
strict instructions, you can't make any noise no matter what. She would
Wow.
not tell them. On the other side, I've mentioned to you a close friend of mine who was dating a guy for about a year and a half. And finally, one of his friends went to her because he felt sorry for her and told her, "Do you realize not only has he been seeing someone else while the two of you have been going out, he actually married that other woman?" So she's been dating this guy for more than a year. She wouldn't think to ask him, "Oh, by the way, since we've been dating, have you married someone else?" It's not someone else.
Oh
So
my
that's,
goodness.
so we're
Yeah.
talking about serious.
Yeah.
And Nettie said she had a spouse who was a compulsive liar and believed he was a Christian. Yeah, they could be any religion, no religion at all. Yeah, that's why you have to be careful. You have to pay attention when things don't match up. When they say something, but you look at their behavior, because talk is cheap. And a lot of abusers and a lot of people, manipulators, losers, are able to find the right words to charm someone, to convince someone. But if you look at their behavior, it doesn't quite match up. It's one of the reasons I was so wary from the beginning about the COVID reaction, because they were giving us information, medical information, that did not match up with how
Yes,
they were
economic.
expecting us to respond. I said, and my hackles rose because
Mm.
so much of my work is about dealing with predators and liars and deceivers and manipulators. And I was like, no. Now, here's another thing: have boundaries and respect boundaries. One of the ways, when we get to the episode where I talk about if you're in a relationship with somebody and you want a commitment and they will not commit to you, one of the ways you can get them to do it. Here's a really quick little way. Think about what the difference between a live-in boyfriend and a husband. Have some boundaries, establish some boundaries. Okay, I will do this, but I won't do that. Don't buy property, don't buy large scale items, I don't want to plan my holiday next year. I really think about how do I make a differentiation between, because, and I say husband because women don't tend to do this as much. If they're in a relationship with a guy and they're living together or whatever, usually they want, if he wants to commit, they will do it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be living with him. So I see this far more often with men who won't commit. Put some boundaries up. And even at the beginning, have boundaries. You know, it's important to me that you not just show up at my house without calling first. I don't want you to show up on my work. You can, just have some boundaries. Don't have a huge list, but have specific boundaries. Make them clear, communicate them, and expect them to be respected. And if that person has boundaries, you respect theirs too. Keep some space between you. Nothing will keep your allure in the long term like having interests and things you do away from your partner. Not collapsing yourself so that everything has to be done together.
Big
Now,
one.
here's
That's a
the thing.
that's a really important one, I think. Really.
Here's a mistake I've made. And as much as I know, remember, knowledge does not help you unless it's consistently applied. So I've made this mistake. Don't get involved or make a commitment when you're going through a crisis. Because
Yeah.
once you calm down, you may find yourself involved or committed to somebody that you would not choose when things are going well. And when we're talking about not collapsing yourself, watch out for somebody who's you or me, you and me against the world. Nettie wanted some warning signs. This is one of them. And I have a woman that I know who's even written, excuse me, a very good book about her incredibly abusive former relationship. And she's remarried now. They've been married for, I think, 17 years or something. However, he is so controlling. She doesn't realize she jumped from the frying pan because the first abusive ex was so severe. She doesn't realize all the red flags the current husband has. I can never see her by herself. He always comes.
Wow.
And we're women. Even if she were a strict Orthodox Jew or a Muslim, there's no culture that says a woman can't be alone with another woman. But I
Yeah,
can
that's
never get her by herself. He always goes with her everywhere. That's what I mean by the you and me against the world. And a lot of women are like, oh, it's so romantic. Really? He went on the hen's night with you. He was the only guy there. Your friend's hen's night, and he's there because he does not want you to go anywhere by yourself. That's not romantic. That's control. And
yeah.
it's scary. Here's another thing, a little lighter, but communicate clearly. And this is for you guys, because sometimes, well, first of all, sometimes women expect men to read their minds. And sometimes men will like or not like something. And my ex husband, oh my God, I would ask him everything. He was my husband. So if I was going to buy drapes or whatever I was doing, I'd ask him, what do you think about this? Do you like that? Yeah, that's great. And then later he'd be like, I don't really like that. I asked you before I committed to purchasing it. Why didn't you tell me that? Communicate clearly. Oh,
Yeah.
Roscoe's here. I've missed you, Roscoe. He says, I have a new friend who's a girl. She turns 27 this year and has slightly older live-in boyfriend for like 8 years. I tell her if she doesn't propose by the time she's 30, she kicks him to the curb. Am I wrong? No. You need to send her to me. Why wait 2 more years, 3 more years? Me and math. Okay. Why wait 3 more years? She can get him to propose. If she really wants to be married to him, again, have her watch the shows or send me a note. If you women want to know how to get that guy to commit, but step one before we get there, look at the guy you want to have a commitment from and ask yourself, do I want to spend the rest of my life with this guy? Or do I want him to marry me so I can feel validated and so I can impress my friends and have a hen's night? And I've always visualized this gorgeous wedding. That's not what I'm talking about. Look at this guy and say, do I want to spend the rest of my life with this man? Do I want him to be the father of my children? Nettie's talking about some situations that are terrible. She said, a woman who would make her husband sleep in the car. Yeah, I know a lot of bad. How does she get him to propose? No, come on, Roscoe. I've got rules to get through. She's going to have to send me a note. Send me a note. I'll do a show on it, and I promise it works. I have tested this out, and it actually works. You know I'm not going to give you a solution that doesn't actually work. Now, remember when I said about being honest and honesty being crucial? Well, first of all, Roscoe, before we go, anybody that's been with you 8 years and has not proposed doesn't really want to marry you. So she's got to change the dynamic in order to let him see her value.
Yeah, I was just about to say that actually. If you like, the one thing about men that I've learned over the years is that if they don't want to do something, they're not going to do it. If they just, it could be anything. It could be proposing. It could be fixing the blinds. Pressure hosing the driveway, or whatever it is that they say they want to do, and if they really deep down don't want to do something, they won't do it. So that
but I'm a social psychologist, though. This is kind of interesting. Now, as I said, these are living couples that have been together for a while. So I'm not talking about how to trick somebody into having a relationship with you. But men don't value what they don't work for. So what I talk about in changing the dynamic is allowing him to see you don't get husband privileges. You get live-in boyfriend privileges. You want husband privileges? Being engaged won't get you there. It happens after the wedding, because you cannot allow yourself to be placated. And that's what I'll mention in that episode. Don't be placated by the engagement. A lot of men have fiancés where they have 5 kids together and he's still a fiancé. No, that's a placating gesture. He doesn't want to marry you.
Yeah, it's true.
So yes, I'm more than happy. She is being undervalued, Roscoe. You're a good friend. I'm so happy to have you back. And yes, tell her to talk to me. And if other women are watching the show, and guys, you should probably watch it so that you will know the tactics that are being used against you. It's not evil. I'm not going to do anything evil, but sometimes they need a little nudge. Now, when we're talking about being honest with people, you're entitled to privacy, but not secrecy. Marrying someone else is secrecy. That's not privacy. There's certain information that all of us just don't share with other people. And somebody that has no boundaries on their, they tell you every time they go to the toilet, every time they do something, that's kind of weird, and you need to get rid of them anyway. Now, this is what I advocate. So keep in mind, I'm going to be teaching you how to select with your head and your heart. That's why I wrote Fascination with the Devil, because the last chapter is called Ending the Fascination. I actually teach women how to change their taste, because I don't want you to choose a partner or a husband with your head, because that leaves your heart free to find somebody else, and it causes all kinds of problems. We want you there with both parts of yourself. and demand that both parts of yourself be engaged. Be fair. Don't ask for more than you offer. I've seen this from both sexes where, and like the women we're talking about with those long lists, they're asking for all of these things, all of these compromises, all of these concessions, all of this, and they're offering nothing but their presence. It's never going to work. Any guy that would accept that has something nefarious going on. That's just never going to get you someplace healthy. If your partner's important to you, treat them like you want them to stay. Pay attention, look at them, be affectionate, be considerate, share their interests. Make them, if you're a woman, make the food they like. If you're a man, you see something in her house doesn't work, fix it. Treat her, treat him like you want them to stay. Do not allow yourself to be taken for granted. Someone who consistently takes you for granted, even after you use the rules, especially if you go to rule the rules last time, it ups your appeal. So even without saying anything to the people around you, you start to be more in demand. If it doesn't work, walk. Do not allow yourself to be shrunk into a small life with someone who will never appreciate you. You deserve better than that. And I don't say that lightly, because as a Christian, I really believe that I want marriages to be smarter so that people can stay, but not at the cost of any happiness or self-esteem. Here's another thing, and this is especially for you guys. Practice empathy. Try to see the world from your partner's perspective. I find that a lot of men have difficulty trying to see the world from the woman's perspective, and they are enabled in this by other men who say, oh, you can't understand women. Yes, you can. If you listen and watch and pay attention, I'm telling you, abusers understand us really well. Why? Because they pay attention. In order to be able to manipulate us, they have to understand us. But you can do it for a good reason, because you want to be closer to your partner. Try to see things from her perspective. If you have issues from your childhood or your previous relationships, get help. Don't shrug and say, that's just how I am, or I'm going to treat you badly because my last partner cheated on me. No. You get help for your issues. Do not make your current partner pay for somebody in the past.
Yeah, that's a really good piece of advice as well, that one. Yeah.
Here's something for the women, in case you guys are feeling picked on, okay? Don't gossip about your relationship. Now, if you're having some issues and you have somebody you respect and who can keep your confidence, discuss what's wrong. First person you discuss it with is your partner. But one of the things that bugs most guys enormously is having the woman in their life constantly telling all her girlfriends everything he does wrong.
Yeah, it's terrible.
They hate that. Don't do it. Okay, both sexes. Here you go. Pay attention to this. You want to stay married? You want the person to stay loyal? You want them to remain interested? Don't be lazy or selfish in the bedroom. Okay? That's both sexes. Unless your partner is out in the wilds of somewhere and you have no competition whatsoever, people always have a choice. And even then, they have the choice to just say no. It's like, no, I'd rather have no sex than bad sex. So if you're not going to work at it, go away. And it ruins everything. If you're married to someone, your sex life is a real priority. So work on it. Also, whatever you pay attention to, your brain picks up as valuable. So if you are being attentive sexually, if you're being attentive in the ways that I'm talking about here, you will value your partner automatically more, and they'll pick it up. They'll feel loved and appreciated. And You'll be more affectionate. They'll feel like they matter, and it'll improve everything. And yes, you can. I'm open to you sending me thank you gifts. That's fine. Hmm. It will work. I promise. Women, this is for women. Value and protect your sex life. Once the kids come along, women always find something else to do. Your man needs you to pay attention. There are other women out there that are ready to grab him. So put a little border around your sex life and make sure. I keep telling you, women, here's Dr. Dina's bit of advice. Smartest thing to be is a hard act to follow. Okay? And that includes, I saw somebody that said men only want three things. They wanted to be respected, they want to be needed. Four things. They want to be respected, they want to be needed, they want their stomach full and their balls empty. Okay, here you go. And I hope that's not too crass because I don't curse and this is like a PG show. Romantic rule number 24. Men do not link affection only with sex. You want her to be more in the mood? Give her longing looks. Be affectionate with her, but not because you want sex. Women start to feel used if you're only affectionate with them when you want sex. They need the affection just in general. And here's the last one. And I always talk about this. Work on being the best version of yourself. This is not about somebody else. But the better you become as a person, the more attractive you are. And Nettie says something about be respected, you need to earn it. That's a whole different conversation. But let's start with self-respect. Let's start with really feeling you're of value. So you work on yourself. Nothing will encourage somebody else to improve like you being willing to improve yourself. All right, and I just have a couple of little tips in case it doesn't work. Okay, tip one, if you break up, wait. Don't try to be around that person for a while, especially if they broke it off with you and you're heartbroken. Tip two, don't fall for that let's just be friends, okay? Distance is key. It's part of part one. If there's heartbreak on either side, give it some time, give it some distance. Again, give it time. Have clear boundaries around the friendship. Once the friendship is reestablished, really have boundaries about what you'll do and what you'll discuss with your ex. If you don't, it could get really messy really fast. Also, I always bring it, because I'm a social psychologist, I always bring it back to you. It's not just about what they did wrong. If your relationship ends, figure out what you did wrong. And again, start working on it so that next time you're a better partner. If the relationship was abusive, try to sever all ties. Now, I realize if you're parents together, that's going to be hard or impossible. But as much as possible, keep that distance. That person an abuser never forgives and never forgets. So they may pretend that they can be friends with you, but they are just looking for an opportunity to manipulate you back into the relationship, to hurt you for breaking their heart or whatever. It's not worth it. Sever as all ties if possible. And don't jump straight into another relationship. This is the biggest problem a lot of people have. This is something men tend to do more than women. As we go through, there are tendencies I see. Sometimes males err on this side more and more. Sometimes females err on this side more. Men tend to jump straight into another relationship, and they don't give themselves time to mourn what was lost, which is why I've met far more men who are still caught up with emotions for their exes than I have women. I have to, before we get to the last one, I have to tell you what Nettie said. I'd like to have a brain scan before marriage. Make sure that Uh, It Ends With Us movie. I haven't seen it, Roscoe. Roscoe was asking us about the It Ends With Us movie. I haven't seen it. I don't tend to watch a lot of mainstream fare because it's too woke for me. Um, Here's another one. Last one. Try not to repeat your romantic mistakes. I have a close
Big one.
girlfriend. I have
That's
a
a big
close
one.
girlfriend who we would spend endless hours deconstructing everything that went wrong in her last relationship. And the minute she meets somebody else she's attracted to, she does exactly the same things that got her in trouble before. So she's gone from bad relationship to bad relationship throughout her life. Now, any last comments, Melinda?
Oh, absolutely fantastic advice. Absolutely loved it. Because, of course, when you're listening and you're going through your life's journey, even, in my 50s, that advice is still just as salient as it is in your late teens and 20s. I just wish someone had sort of sat me down, as I said, when I was 22, 21, 22, and 23, and said, hey, listen, you just need to take your time, understand what you're doing wrong, bring something to the relationship, keep the physical alive. I mean, there's so many things that you've said today that are common sense, but we need reminding. We need to have that list, and we need to remind ourselves all the time that that list never goes away as well. It's there for life with all of us, whether
Absolutely.
we're a
And
man or
even if you're
mm,
established in a marriage, so, some of these
yes,
things,
absolutely.
and
It's
especially
because
if you, I was going to say, if you combine it with last week,
yeah.
you can actually improve. I don't care if you've been together 30 years, you can improve things.
And look, in relationships, if you get complacent, it falls apart. You can't get complacent. It never gets easier. I sort of watch people who have been together over the decades, and I've been with someone now over well over a couple of decades, and it doesn't get any easier because you're still growing and moving and shaping and having life's experiences, and a lot of those tips and advice are absolutely critical to keep reminding ourselves about, even if you've been with someone for 25 years or 2 years, or you're single and you've got to know what you want. It's really important.
Well, I'm thankful for having you here. I want to let you know at the beginning of August 2025, my new website is going to be up and running. That's the one where you see ethicalstrategic.com. You'll also be able to reach it by going to www.drdinamcmillan.com. I have it accessible in both ways, but it is being worked on now. So if you're watching this in any time past the first week of August 2025, you can go to my website and I can be hired to do couple consulting, family consulting, education and training for communities, for professional organizations. So contact me and we can talk about it. Now, if you, in the meantime, you can reach me at drdinablog@gmail.com. That's probably the easiest way to reach me. And I want to be able to help. And I also, again, you'll need to contact me to tell me where to send the presents that I receive for giving you such good advice. And you're able to improve a relationship that you thought was going to end. If you go on Amazon looking for the Pfizer papers, you can also find my books. Buddy Says He Loves Me is a paperback, but I've also produced it in audio for all you busy people. You can also find the brief overview of abuser strategies and tactics there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. If you're watching this on any forum, you have a question or a comment, leave a question or a comment under the recording because I actually look. And it can be the topic of a show. I'm trying to get Roscoe to actually show up for a show because he's like one of my favorites. If you want to be on the show, if you want a particular topic covered, you'll notice I don't do this like everybody else. Everything I do is like I want it to work, and I want it to work fast. So, and Melinda, thank you for taking time in your busy day down under to, because it's the middle of the day in Australia. So thank
Yes.
you for taking time to be on the show, and I will see you all again next Tuesday. Remember, no more boring Tuesdays.
Bye.